we go. Hello, hello, hello. So yeah, to address the title right away, I'm gonna let some live viewers, before I get more in-depth in discussion, live viewers join. I do think I was wrong about one core thing about Emilie, in a way that makes me think she's a worse character, to be clear. And notably a worse character that is harder to recommend. But I still very, very, very much like this character. She still met or exceeded my expectations. Like, my first impressions was very positive. Right? Like, my condition for how much I would like this character was how many ways I found to do different shenanigans with the burning reaction with her. Or if I felt like she was only relevant for, like, mono pyro, but, you know, add some green to the mix, right? She was just like a Shungling alternative or slot-in addition, etc., right? Like, that's the most boring conceptualization of what she is. Even she is a really simple way of describing her is that she does kind of feel like Dendro Shungling, by the way. So yeah, this character I like a lot. I want to preface that, but I'm going to talk about some things that like, if you saw my edited video today, you might have seen how I basically said she's a very easy character to skip. I would have been more bullish in my video my edited video that I made today, basically saying, you know, oh, this character can be really, really fun if you like messing around with different mechanics and, you know, gameplay in the game. I kind of no longer necessarily feel that way because of how clunky she can be, and that is the main problem. But we're gonna explore a little bit of things, and this is what I wanted to do live. I have Katane on my Polearm account here. I want to see how Katane is. So part of this clunkiness is like something that her weapon fixes, which is like why I think they did this. I think they just did this as a dick move. Like you know, like you might see like the likes of Zajef or whoever that says, you know, oh, the weapon is so good because of the energy and it makes it so you can just burst every rotation. But like, what I didn't realize ahead of time. Also, my YouTube chat just immediately broke. Thank you, YouTube. I like how you can't even load it once. So, like, this was what I was wrong about, right? Wherein, like, everyone was talking about, oh, you need to burst, you need, like, 800 ER, and, like, her weapon mixes, so you don't need 800 energy recharge. And, like, I was always like, no, you don't actually need to burst every rotation. It's fine. Rude, let me finish your other video. I mean, you can go finish the other video. This one will still be here. Anywho's, right? Like the actual like value you get from the burst is pretty variable. Her burst is really interesting mechanically. I like it a lot. But originally, like, I had vibes of I thought she was Fischl-like, right? Wherein you could kind of like use her burst to like keep uptime on her things, and you can. But it wasn't like strictly necessary kind of thing. And especially because like she doesn't even have like the uptime issues like Fischl. You actually do want to at least use your burst every other rotation. You don't even technically have to in this character, but you should probably still use your burst every other rotation in this character too. But she's not actually like Fischl, because she has this really stupid aspect to her kit that I didn't think about beforehand, and I never saw anyone else mention as the downside. And this is, in my opinion, the real reason to do a burst focus playstyle and a burst focus build on her, is because it can make her a lot more clunky. And this is why I didn't mention it in the video either, is because the video was focused on a team that, you know, ended up not having this clunkiness issue because it was playing with the burst DPS playstyle. And again, like this weapon enabling her burst DPS playstyle to be more universal, and you don't have to build a ton of ER, you don't have to have a more specialized build that hurts her skill damage or passive damage. Like, so anyway, it's this stupid thing wherein it says when you basically when you cast your skill, it's level 0 or level 1, sorry. So it does the low multiplier version, and she takes a little bit of time to, the case starts at level 1, can go up to level 2. She takes a little bit of time to be able to get back up to level 2 in a lot of teams. And not all teams, right? In some teams it's fine. But notably in a lot of the teams that I like doing, right? Teams where you're bringing in something that's using the pyro, right? So you might have less burning uptime in favor of doing something else with the pyro application, whatever, right? And So the issue is, right, her level, when you press her skill, it creates this is still clunky, by the way, with her signature weapon, because if you just dare press her skill by accident, it sometimes Fs you. You can see that all the time, actually, in my first impressions video. But yeah, like, you don't want this at level 1, right? And the initial build up isn't necessarily problematic when you're doing the burst playstyle, because the burst resets the duration, right? Her duration is 22 seconds, right? And her burst resets the duration after it's done doing its thing, and it keeps whatever level it was stored. So if it was at level 2 when you use your burst, it stays at level 2. But if you press her skill, it resets to level 1. That is awful. Like, it's really awful. It also, like, makes her not adapt to many things as well, because you'll have instances like I can't express enough how good the first chamber of this abyss is, this whole abyss cycle, but especially the first chamber is at, like, being awkward for Emilie. Like, it's really kind of bad. They didn't plan this well. She can feel really clunky in the first chamber, because of this aspect to her kit, where, like, oh, you use her burst 1 rotation, then, oh, the ruin guard spawns, you want to just, you know, use this to reposition it. But oops, it goes down to level 1, and then you have to restart doing it. Like, you basically have to restart a full rotation anyways. So, like it makes her situationally really clunky. And that's why, like, if you saw my stream, like, I had to end up doing a lot of things in some of those teams where, like, I would cast her skill first, get some, you know, pyro going to get level 2 going, and then use her burst, and then just try to keep on using her burst, right? But without, you know, either an energy-focused build or her signature weapon that enables you to burst consistently pretty easily, that can kind of not be easy to do, or you're sacrificing a lot of her other damage, right? Sorry, I just had a wet in my throat. Right, you can sacrifice a lot of her other damage, right? Like, you don't usually want to do an emblem build like I did in my edited video for a universal playstyle on her, right? Because there's a lot of times where the emblem build is not going to be optimal, because it's not going to be the majority of your damage contribution. But at the same time, for making her feel less clunky to play, I think an emblem build might be pretty compelling, if you don't have her signature, because it can still be pretty decent. Not with the catch, like with a crit weapon. Like an emblem build with whatever crit stats take, like deathmatch. It depends on your artifacts, of course, but it's just like, yeah, and like what Sylviana was mentioning, like, most of the time, I haven't done a lot of direct comparisons to Nahida, because I have not, like, it's hard to do a direct comparison to Nahida in many of the teams I played Emilie in, because I'm comparing a C0 Emilie to a C2 Nahida, and C2 Nahida with Electro is buffing teammates' damage kind of to a significant degree, to a point where it's like, I can't like actually test these two characters in game. I really wish I could turn on the constellations. But yeah, I very much suspect in many teams she's just a situational side grade, sometimes upgrade in some ways or another. Like it's awesome for problems only that for Sino she's great, right? I really like the Sino team with her. But it's just like they did this one specific thing in her kit. This is the one thing in her kit where her skill does not keep the level 2 or the level 2 when you recast it. And you have situations where even when you are able to burst consistently, you still might want to use the skill to recast, and that can hurt your damage output significantly. Like, it can be the difference between like losing several seconds on your clear time. Like, it's pretty significant. So, suggested to playing her in an X3 Favoni Steam, yeah. The burst cost is only 50. I'm using her 130 ER with Primordial Spirit and have been fine for the most part. Not with an off-field, Emilie, you aren't. Yeah, so anyways, I'm not saying, like, to be clear, the amount of ER she needs can vary heavily by team. It's how ER works in this game. You can generate particles in a lot of different ways. I am not saying you need her weapon to make her not clunky, but I am saying that the number one thing I got wrong, right, is that, one, I undervalued the burst a little bit at a baseline, but then notably I undervalued the fact that the burst is the way you keep your level, right? Like, not only do you like this clunkiness where their skill resetting her level on her lamp makes it so you don't want to press her skill ever. Like it's not just a like my entire like thing when I was talking about Emilie before was like how you can just use her skill and then, you know, use her burst the next rotation, use her skill, use her burst. But that resetting of it makes it so clunky. It's really clunky. Clunky to a degree that I'd say it doesn't really function as well in some teams. And it's clunky to a degree that it makes it much harder to recommend this character. Because of that goofiness. Like I think most players will not like if most players can't figure out they need to like build enough energy on Farina and have good healers with Farina to get the most value out of her. Like are players going to be able to realize like, oh, you got to watch for like this thing gathering to 4 cents to have the highest damage output? Like it's really clunky to recast her lamp with her skill, and therefore it really pushes you towards a burst or higher energy playstyle. And it feels like to me the main reason they did that was just to be dicks and push for her weapon. Like I don't know, right? To be clear, we're gonna test Catane here on polearms only. So the way Catane works, like there is options, right? I showed a burst DPS on Emblem playstyle. But I want to check Catane on like her same artifacts, but of course probably a different circlet. I want to check Catane and see how that goes. Can Catane enable a relatively easy, you know, consistent burst DPS playstyle without having to build a ton of ER, but having her mostly outfield, right? Because it increases the EM substat does very little, but the skill damage bonus is good. This is an R4 one, of course. And then after an elemental skill hits opponents, the character loses 3 energy but regenerates 4.5 energy every 2 seconds for the next 6 seconds. Sorry. So basically, if you're doing burst Emilie, this is just it's just like an energy refunding passive. Like this thing has 12 energy refunding. This thing will at R4 here. I think it's 5 energy at R5. Yeah. At R4 here will refund 13.5 energy. Right. So similar amount of energy to her signature. So energy needs between like these two weapons as far as like energy needs go should be pretty similar, if not actually lower with Catane, which is cool. But you know, then you don't have a crit stat. Like not having crit substat is pretty bad, but the other things it gives may be more worthwhile. I don't think I'm going to craft an R5 one. I'm kind of tempted to compare these two. So anyways, this character is still more than usable at C0 without her weapon. I want to emphasize that. It's just because of I was wrong about like because of that clunkiness with her skill resetting her lamp to level 0. I feel much more, and her burst being a bit better than I expected. I feel much more pushed towards just a burst focused playstyle than I expected. Oh, I can. Do I? I don't need. Do I need? This is polearms only. Do I need? Do I need my billets? Like, I think I got 2 of these. I got 2 of these. Oh yeah, you know, I think I was saving these for like an R5. Then you saw bad calcs. What are you talking calcs from? What? Are you talking about me or someone else? Considering this is something you're making a stream out of, will you be making a video detailing what you got wrong? No, this stream is detailing what I got wrong. By the way, I'm gonna hopefully not stream for very long. I say this sometimes a lot, but I actually like need to have some time today to be able to and have like the mental energy to edit my account fixing video for tomorrow. It's like, my video editor is open on my computer right now. I need to finish that. I don't think it'll be that hard for me to finish, but anyways, I think we're gonna craft this. I think I was saving billets for being able to do something silly like R5 Crescent Pike, but that kind of seems like a waste of billets. I'd actually rather just have Catane here for the sake of comparison. Oh, I'm gonna cancel one of these. So craft that. We'll get R5 Catane. You're talking to the guy in chat. Okay, yeah, fair. New Natland sword and polearm craftable sucks their defense percent. Yeah, I'm aware. I mean, I'm curious to test the Natland craftable on Kachina will be interesting, but as far as like even for her DPS playstyle, Well, that's her one playstyle as far as her build goes, so yeah. But other than that, it's basically a potential... Where is she? It's a potential Yunjin weapon. Yunjin, I don't know, it doesn't really fix Yunjin's problem much, if at all, because you still, like, the only benefit of not doing a fab build on her is you no longer need to farm crit rate substats, right? It's like, this is kind of the ideal build on Yunjin, is have a bunch of crit rate, have a bunch of ER, and then whatever amount of defense you can get to trigger fab consistently, and ideally a higher fab to trigger it, because getting those extra energy particles is the difference between her feeling bad or not. So anyways, you always say short stream. I know, that's why. I just, alright, there we go. Look at that, a contain. Why did it refund? Oh, because there's a character that is refunding. Alright. Do that. Okay. So yeah, this weapon, now compared to her signature, refunds 15 energy, which is cool. Blam. There we go. 12% skill damage bonus, which is not that significant, but it's something. It does something useful for her. And then the energy refunding, right? So that's more energy refunding now than her signature weapon. Well, it was more at R4. I think at R3 it would be the same energy refunding, right? If that's what you're aiming for. But either way, right? The energy refunding is pretty significant, but of course we'd want to switch to a crit rate circlet, which I guess is this one. And that's probably all we're gonna do, right? That's still this is still a very good build. A bit lower in crit rate than I would prefer. I don't know if we can meaningfully fix that. I don't know if we can. Can I fix it with this? Oh, I can fix it with this. Wait, how many? Sacrificing. Boy, I'm sacrificing a bit of crit damage. Oh well. There we go. Alright, that's a little bit better of a crit ratio. So, I'll try it like that, right? Obviously, this is not the build I'm going to stick with on my Emilie. On polearms only, because I have this signature weapon. But what I want to compare is just to show that, you know, you do have the ability to have a burst-focused Emilie that is pretty easy to play, that is accessible to anyone. I just think it's awkward that she's in a state of, you know, most likely I think most people will end up wanting to do a burst focus playstyle for her to not feel clunky in mini teams. And, you know, you're basically stuck in compromising one way or another, either with an emblem build or with Catane, which doesn't have crit substats, yada 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 yada. No, the EM is not very valuable for her. Not, well, okay, there's some ways, like doing the Burgeon things I showed in my edited video today, or in whatever else, like if you're vaping with Candace infusion normal attacks, I also showed in the video, right? She got like a 28,000 damage vape. Like having some EM on her does have the ability to do something technically, and it also, if she's the one triggering the burning reaction, can trigger some additional burning damage, but it's not very significant. The EM is not very valuable here. This is basically, you're using this for the energy refunding, because this refunding energy can happen once every 10 seconds. Functionally makes her energy cost at R5 here go down to 35, which is a lot lower. So, anywho's, you still regret the C6 Mualani? Yeah, I mean, she stays on a permanent attack percent timepiece and defense percent circlet, so what does that tell you? I would absolutely, without a second thought, turn off her constellations if I could. It actively annoys me whenever I use Mualani, because I have to, like, think about not using it by accident. I hate it. It really annoys me. Anywho's, what was I doing? Oh yeah, we're gonna go compare. So yeah, the goal here, I guess we'll go here. We don't have our energy up right now. Should you prioritize skill or burst talent level? Skill is a higher priority. I would level her burst too, but like they're relatively equal. Don't level her normal attack like I did. I just did that for infusion shenanigans. Yeah, level her skill is a priority. Like, skill should probably be at least a level or 2 levels ahead of the burst most of the time. until you get to the point of being able to level them to parity. On my main account, I intend to take... I'm probably not going to crown her, at least anytime soon. So I plan to... She's at like level 9 skill and level 8 burst on my main account. I'm going to get her level 9 burst, I think. So yeah, skill is slightly prioritized over burst, but there is situations where the burst might do meaningfully more damage than her skill. There is some situations that might actually be relevant, so, you know, it depends. Do a standard pull? Oh, sure. What was I wrong about? I was wrong about the fact that Emilie feels clunky. You can rewind the video if you want to see me talk about that more. How about another Toma? A useful polearm. I thought she feels far more clunky than I expected she was going to feel. Her burst playstyle is more relevant than I expected it was, and in part because of her using her skill resets her skill to level 0 or level 2, and that kind of makes her awkward in many ways. So, anyways, we have her on Catane here. I should probably have played a different team than this, because I have Arlecchino on this team because Arlecchino can absolutely wipe out these boys. But anyways, so we do this. Obviously, that's so much less burst damage. Oh wait, they have shield. Okay, well, I wanted to test wall farming, but I guess we don't get to because they have shields. Oh well. We got our burst back, right? So, yay. It at least shows that. We'll go test against enemies where we can actually see the damage difference rather than that. Give the weapon to Xiangling. What weapon? Her weapon? Why? No. Xiangling already has her signature weapon. Not that like that weapon can't be good, but it's not always going to be good on her. So no, I'm going to keep this on Emilie most of the time. It's a very good weapon for her. So please try our weapon on Xiangling. Why? I mean, I can on my main account. Remind me towards the end of the stream. I can switch to my main account, or not to the end of the stream. Just once I'm done on polearms only. The reason I'm testing on polearms only is because I already had Catane on polearms only. But I don't know. Like the problem with her weapon on Xiangling is like you're gonna relegate Xiangling to being in Dendro teams. And Xiangling, it can be used in non-Dendro teams. So, yeah, we can test that though, but we'll test it on my main account, not here. All right. So, anyways, I didn't mark them. Okay, whatever, it's fine. We'll do this. But yeah. This burst damage is a little bit less on Catane, to say the least. Oh, I just pressed her skill by accident, by the way, which completely, let's see, did you notice it just, like, right as I looked over to it is when it went back to the, high damage version? So, her voice still sounds off to me. I don't dislike her voice, I don't know. It's spoken in a very particular manner, in a way that I would say is... I think the reason people might not like it is because it lands in this zone of very much... Like, if I met a person that talked like her in real life, I'd be like, why are you trying so hard to talk that way? Like if I initially met them, they would not come off to me as this is what their voice genuinely sounds like, even though their voice isn't displeasing. But... if I did meet someone where this is what her voice genuinely sounds like, I'd be like, you have a great voice. That's what it feels like to me, right? But she doesn't sound like this is how a normal person would actually speak. So anyways, I like her. I like her voice. It's just, she does sound a little bit like it's a voice actor voice acting something. Feminine Mika. Yeah, that's not what I cared about for this character though. Can you be less involved? Alright. Do this.
A little ambiance.
She sounds like Mickey Mouse. I suppose. these are not proper tests by any means, other than the fact that, hey, we are getting our energy back, mostly. That time I think we waited to burst a little bit, so that was actually kind of a worst case scenario. So, you know, you can see even when I do bad, she still gets her burst back. Yeah, wow, artifacts. Is she worth going C3? I mean, C3 is like her skill damage up. Like, no, probably not. if you're considering getting constellations for her, again, you know, evaluate constellations based on the value of what you're sacrificing, but for potential future characters. But C1 and C2 are her most relevant constellations. C1 is pretty good. C1 can potentially mitigate, like I will test this in the future, not today. C1 could potentially mitigate what I was talking about a little bit with her skill being kind of clunky to some extent. So again, this kind of goes into where her skill seems like it resets to level 0 in a way that they were either trying to sell her weapon or sell an energy refunding weapon, right? Or selling her C1 because C1 makes you generate additional sense, which means you're going to get back to the level 2 faster when you recast your skill, is my suspicion. So like her non-burst focused playstyle I think becomes more easy to do in a lot of teams, I suspect, with C1 is my guess. But it's weird. It's a weird constellation. I think it's an interesting constellation for a Constellation 1. But yeah, the specific aspect in her C0 kit, right, that I dislike, that I didn't think about properly before, is that aspect. I didn't actually do anything here. We got some nice damage out of burst there because they were grouped together nicely. But yeah, see, energy refunding is pretty good on her. So, it's just kind of awkward. And she has a 30 ER, by the way, in substats on her pieces right now, I think. It's just awkward, right? How are you gonna build for Mualani after nerfs? Yeah, probably still. I mean, particularly if Kachina's on the banner. I still think Mualani is the more interesting character to have fun with. How much pity do you have for Kachina? Not much, because we got C2. So, yeah, Mualani's nerfs don't really matter, in my opinion. I think she's a less interesting character for her. The funny thing with Mualani's nerfs is I think she's a less interesting character for her intended playstyle. But now, like the more they keep on like they like for 3 updates in a row, they kept on making Mualani's burst do slightly more. And this just makes me want to do a short field time burst focus Mualani. like I think half of her damage output right now, and if you're like considering vaping her normal attacks or her like sharky bites versus vaping her burst, I think her burst is like half or 40% of her damage. But you can also do like a short field time, right? You could switch to Mualani, do a front loaded damage of nuke with her burst, and then switch to another character doing other things, right? Now, like doing a burst focus Mualani makes her team so much more interesting to think about, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you're having the damage she does, but she takes very little field time to do that damage, right? So I'm unironically way more interested in doing teams around a burst DPS Mualani, even though her entire kit is like trying to tell you, hey, you should just float around on the shark and do normal attacks. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to spend 2 seconds on field with her, burst, annihilate an enemy, and then swap off. That's my current thinking. And I think that makes her much more interesting because then you can, on-field someone else. So, anywho's. We'll see how good that actually ends up being. But that's what I'm interested in doing right now. I think it's interesting that they're making a character around forward vape in some form or another. So, anyways, yeah. I guess we'll test an Abyss. We'll test Catane in Abyss, and see on this build how it does compared to her other build, right? Her whatever build. Oh yeah, I crowned because Sino finally. I have had the resources forever. I did this off camera, but I had the resources forever to be able to crown Sino's skill and burst. I just never did it because I was just like, I'm not gonna do it until it actually makes sense. Like there's actually a reason for me to use Sino. There's actually a reason for me to use Sino now, and that's awesome. So I crowned him finally. There you go. Anywho's, so yeah, Emilie. We'll go check Emilie with in Abyss and see how it compares to her signature weapon as far as comparing energy refunding weapon to energy refunding weapon, and showing that both of them can be used in the use burst playstyle, never use her skill. But it's so annoying because even with energy refunding weapons and this playstyle where you just never use her skill because of the fact that it resets to level 0 or level 2 or brain not level 2, it resets to level 1, right? When you press her skill, then it still has this stupid aspect wherein you just accidentally pressed your skill because you're in the habit of pressing your skill on your characters, or you switch the wrong character, and then you press her skill and her damage turns off. Like, it's so dumb. It's so clunky. It's the number one thing I didn't think about beforehand. I really dislike about her kit. Hi, Luciluno, greetings from Germany. Hi, Fear and Love, thank you. Would you say she's worth it out of 5 days? Yeah, she still meets my expectations about being able to be used in all these burning shenanigan themes. But just keep in mind that a big part of my enthusiasm is with her is also just my enthusiasm towards doing burning shenanigans in general. I've always enjoyed doing some burning stuff with her. So yeah, I don't know. By the way, one thing with Katane that makes it potentially not as bad is it does have the most base attack for a 4-star weapon. Well, the normal highest base attack for a 4-star weapon. I know that LE Flash exists. So it's not as bad to have a useless... Because of the higher base attack, it's at least not as bad to have a useless secondary stat when the passive is so good for her, potentially. What is that feather? What feather? This? The stupidest part about it is I have another one. Another one. There you go. I have 2. I like the same thing. Anyways. She's gorgeous and deals good damage. Yeah, I like her. She does a lot of damage. It's an off-field damage dealer. She does potentially some of the most damage of any off-field damage dealer in the game. She does a very good amount of damage. But she has a niche that for most players is probably just gonna be slotting her into mono pyro teams, right? For the simplest ease of use, where you don't have to think about the clunkiness aspect to her skill. And whatever, right? That's not my problem. That's why I feel like I can't recommend her, despite how much I would like the community to play with burning shenanigans more. I would have liked this character to be, the wake up call for the community to realize that, oh, burning can be used to do a lot of different things. It's a reaction that's considered just bad because it on its own right doesn't do that much, and that's again why if she had done buffing for the burning reaction, could have made it even better. I don't know. I really wish she was designed a bit differently, is kind of all it is. Even if I'm really enjoying her, because of how much she is still a pretty compelling off-field option for me. And she's great on polearms only, of course. So, anywho's, she's a main DPS off-field. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. And all characters, it's not a problem that she has team restrictions where you need to have some burning going on. I think that makes her kit interesting to think about. It's more a problem of when you're doing her thing, when you're doing burning things, she still can be clunky in many of the teams where you're triggering burning semi-often because of her skill resetting to level 1. It just makes her so clunky and so much harder to just recommend. It makes it really hard for me to recommend to... if one of my friends who is not mechanically familiar with Genshin were to come back playing Genshin after not playing after a while during this banner, and they'd be like, should I pull for Emilie? I'd probably be probably not, because she's just kind of clunky, right? That's my conclusion. She's not Dendrofischl though, because Fischl, she's Dendrofischl if Fischl had if Fischl had this weird thing wherein Fischl does 4 times less damage until a prerequisite build-up time of triggering at least 4 electro reactions. And every time you press her skill, it resets down to the lower level damage where you need to be able to trigger 4 reactions again. That's what Emilie is, right? It's if Fischl had... it's like if Fischl's A4 right? It's like if this passive didn't function unless you triggered a prerequisite amount of electro reactions in the first place to get it to activate, and then every time you pressed her skill, it reset it. And then they just make her like have really bad energy needs. But there's a there's a solution to that. Just use her burst, because her burst doesn't reset. Oh, weird that there's an energy refunding weapon that is her signature weapon. Like, that's what it feels like to me, man. Like it. She's too clunky because of that. Yeah, it's like if she was Fischl but clunk. Yeah. And also, like, if she was just get more damage when burning is triggered, that would probably be more interesting, but harder to balance, so I get why they did it this way. It's fine. That doesn't actually matter. Anywho's. An off-field pyro that buffs burning could be good. Yeah. And that, like, for a lot of players, this character could have been better for them if she was a pyro unit, right? Like we're lacking in off-field pyro options in the game. And if this character was an off-field pyro that was buffed by burning, she would probably just be better, right? But she's not. So, I don't know, right? It's hard to evaluate her. It's kind of all it is because of the mix of clunkiness aspects and whatever. So I was wrong about how relevant her burst would be. Essentially, I thought it wouldn't be as relevant to do a burst focus playstyle, but because her burst focus playstyle makes her not clunk, burst focus playstyle it is. And if you want a universal playstyle that punishes you the least, create a problem, sell a solution, the Mihoyo way. I mean, it's more like the gotcha way. But yeah, that's what I feel like about her kit right now. They created a problem in her kit and they sold a solution. So, and her solution is not only her weapon, but it's also potentially her C1. But I haven't tested her C1 enough to see if that also works. Anyways, if Fischl was balanced, I mean, yeah, like, I'm not saying that wouldn't be, it could be a good way to balance Fischl doing that, to be fair, but Fischl is a little bit strong, I will admit. It's like, as much as I like Fischl's a bit strong. But yeah, it's a factor of this character being a 5-star character that has this clunkiness aspect, right? But, anywho's, what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, there was some artifacts on the level, and then I was gonna freaking go to the abyss. Good lord. It was this. Yeah, there's these two pieces. The chance that these are upgrades is very low. Not that. But you know what? It's always a possibility, especially if this rolls attack percent. What is this? Oh yeah, the Dendro Goblet I have. This one is theoretically better for my Emilie's average damage, maybe, so I've been like not throwing it away. But okay. It's also weird. So, anyways. Okay. If this rolls entirely to crit, is it better? I don't know. I don't think... Okay, I mean, it's certainly going to make a run for it, apparently. I don't know if this is better if it rolls entirely into crit compared to my... And now it's definitely not. Okay. Compared to my other option. What is my... Yeah, so like this is what I have on it right now, which is pretty dang good. This could basically be the same as that right now. So why even bother is my current thinking. I already have a crit rate heavy piece, and I have this one which has additional attack percent. And yeah, so this is actually kind of useless for me unless I could use it on another character. Like if that EM was HP percent, like I've been considering being like, okay, maybe I should put that set on Hu Tao, since it's likely I will play Emilie with Hu Tao relatively often now. So, anywho's, oh, my chat broke again. So let's go properly test Katane, right? Just to show, because I at least want to show Lily, she still is very much a functional character at C0. I just don't like how they decided to make her skill clunky, right? And that you get punished for using her skill. So I think what we'll do, we'll just do Sino, I think, for simplicity. Because I've been liking that. So we'll do Sino. Emilie. Tom. Gently. And before clear takes 2 minutes. I mean, I do wish to acknowledge that, like, Sino is not ideal for this first chamber. I'm probably gonna stream tomorrow, by the way, trying to clear this abyss on poems only. I have not cleared this abyss cycle on poems only without Arlecchino. I cleared with Arlecchino at C0, and I would be satisfied with leaving it with that. But I think it would be cool to try to like trying to clear this abyss without Arlecchino before Emilie's release was like, ugh, I don't know, like maybe possible, but very hard. I think with Emilie now, I should be able to do it. I don't know exactly what teams I want to do, but anywho's, this abyss is really awkward for this account. This is all it really is. It's probably the hardest one it's ever had, and the only reason I've been as successful as I have is because the account's over 2 years old. So, anywho's, alright, do this, do that, do that.
A little ambiance.
Judgment is upon you. Guilty. Your penance is due.
You know, it's a problem. Like Sino's a single target unit for that situation here. Also, I didn't. Oh no, we are getting a Sendender. Nice. Okay, yeah, that is what I want happening. So this. What are you doing? Why is he just standing still?
Brighten up the place.
Yeah, if I optimize this down with Sino, I think Sino can clear this pretty handily. But the main thing I want to show is just like, you know, oh, we can still have a Emilie that's functional. I'm not gonna try to optimize down a ton, but yeah. Alright, do that. Right, like we're getting 20Ks on her burst. That's quite a bit less. So it's like you have a solution, right, to the problem. Just want to get my burst back.
A little ambiance.
Judgment is upon you.
So yeah, I'm not worried about clear times per se. God, play better. Like 16K, 5K on tap. Yeah, like there's a lot less damage. Why did I select Lisa? Oops. There's a lot less damage than I'm used to seeing from my Emilie on this account currently. So if we put her back to the build with the signature weapon, which because it's got, you know, it's got energy funding and a crit rate subset and a whole bunch of damage bonus and some attack, like, you know, there we go. Obviously a better build, a little bit less ER, and a little bit less energy refunding, right? So it's not like the, I'm not saying this is completely an objective comparison because the Catane build might be able to get away with less ER than this build, whatever. Or maybe neither of them need ER, but it's close enough of a comparison like you'll be able to see, right? But mostly what we're watching for is just to show that both of them can do the burst-focused DPS playstyle without having to use her skill again. Other than initially, I like to use her skill initially to start burning going so that it starts some scent build up and doesn't start at level 0 as soon as the burst is done. But anyways, like you should be able, if you play her well, you should be able to just use her burst. And yeah, we should see a little bit more damage this time.
Solidify. I got you covered.
This will brighten up the place.
Your sins weigh upon your
You know, 40k versus 20k burst hits, I think.
You stand condemned. Guilty. You stand condemned.
That's gonna hit. Nice. Okay.
A little
This.
ambiance.
Supporting fire. Don't get too close.
You know, and we're getting 30k there. Probably didn't trigger spreads on that. We might have been triggering spreads on the initial ones, right?
You stand condemned.
And there's a 50k hit there, like.
Guilty.
You know, well, I just, okay, well, Luckily I didn't get punished there because I pressed her skill by accident, but I pressed her skill while the burst was still going, so it didn't reset to level 0. But that's the problem, like, even with the signature weapon, right? She can sometimes feel clunky even with the signature because you dared to press a button by accident. Like, it's just annoying. I don't know why I did that.
A little ambiance.
I also think I might have let her duration lapse there because of the burst, but oh well, yeah, I did let her duration lapse, so oops. But whatever. Like, Katane is a cool option, but it's obviously a bit worse. So, does Jeff have mini L takes on his first impressions video? Will he make a new one where he learns the unit more? Yeah, it's actually a Jeff video I disliked. I will say that. I think, yeah, he gives me way too much of a vibe sometimes about, you know, like he tries to evaluate things objectively, but he's actually just being pretty subjective about units. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me that he's like one of the people that inspired me to start like getting into doing shenanigans with Burgeon and whatever, burning Burgeon whatever teams, because he was the one that found like the Thundering Furry team where he did Razor plus Dendro plus C6 Bennett. Like, Zajev was one of the original people doing burning shenanigans, and they release a burning unit and the dude like doesn't even consider all the different things you can possibly do with her. Like, bruh. Bruh. So yeah, I agree. For Emilie, I agree with Jay Stern's takes right now as far as Jay Stern versus Zajev. I like watching both of them to see different perspectives of things. To some degree or another, I don't like actively watch all their content or anything. But I think Jay Stern's takes on Emilie were a bit more well-rounded. So yeah, like Jay Stern is pretty negative on Emilie, but he also was like, you know, I'm negative on Emilie, but also I've had negative first impressions on every single character in 1A, other than Farina. And he's like, thank you for the bias declaration there, right? So he's like, I might sound a little bit negative here, but I've also been negative for all the other units. And then he's pretty well-rounded in what's negative about her. Again, I don't think I saw him talk about this clunkiness issue with her skill. Like, I really do think this stuff with her skill resetting to level 1 when you press it is what pushes you towards the burst playstyle more than anything, and is a big part of what makes you feel the difference of her weapon more. It's the conjunction of all the damage stats and the energy refunding that, like, it's just it very much feels like they made a problem and are selling a solution to me, and I feel like that's really dumb for a 5-star unit. So gotcha game things, I know, but like it kind of sucks because I really like this character overall, but it makes it so like I honestly don't think I can recommend her, and I don't know if I ever will be able to, other than for certain teams where you just don't have to think about it, right? If you're just doing pure burning with Kinich, or you're slotting her into, you know, completely just burning only, but then it's mono pyro, right, but you have some green. Those are the contexts where I think Emilie is not going to be clunky, really, ever. Like, it'll be fine. You won't have to worry about it. You won't have to think about it. But those are also the contexts that I think they're the least interesting on a mechanical level for what you can do with the burning reaction. So, yeah. Yeah, the weapon problem is very big. That's kind of what I was exactly demonstrating here. Is like, even if Katane is a good option, even if Fab is a good option, like, you really, like she has a weapon problem. Yeah, and it's a weapon problem in conjunction with her clunkiness problem. Because like I feel pushed towards her burst DPS, her burst focus playstyle, but her burst focus playstyle requires some amount of specking. If you don't have a signature weapon, requires some amount of specking into, you know, an ER focus build like Emblem, or a ER refunding weapon like Katane, or energy weapon like Favonius, and right, like the more you specking into her burst is what solves her clunkiness problem. But then the more you spec into her burst, in some situations, the worse damage she does. And that makes her, like, potential as an off-field damage dealer go down quite significantly. And can make her even more of a side grade to, like, Nahida in the same team conceptions than she might have already been. Like, So yeah, like, so what I was wrong about was like, you know, all the weird conjunction of her weapon and burst and clunkiness. Like, it makes her hard for me to recommend as much as I like her. Right. That's kind of all it is. So, yep. Nahida, go figure, is a more valuable unit. That, I mean, that was not really ever in question, but it's just, I feel like she could have been. She had, as far as the idea of an off-field unit that incentivizes you to play burning, there's so many more potential things they could have gone down towards, you know, like buffing the burning reaction itself. I don't know, right? Like let's imagine something silly, like this character triples the amount of damage that the burning reaction does, makes the burning reaction crit, which I think Nahida does, but like it doesn't have to be unique to Nahida and C2, right? Right, she can increase the amount of the burning reaction does, but then also, like, let's imagine something fun, like the burning reaction, she has a passive that instead of this passive where, oh, she gets this poop of dendro on enemies every whatever amount of time she generates sense. Instead, it's like, oh, when there is burning happening on enemies, every X amount of seconds or X amount of sense collected, whatever, like it could be the same phrase, but instead of the trigger just being some big multiplier damage, it's an additional explosion of burning damage based on this character's, based on, you know, burning damage scaling. I don't know how they'd phrase it, but based on like normal burning damage scaling, but now it's like an explosion of fire that like puts fire on the ground in an AoE that like, so it's like burning, but now like it's a burning that like explodes and puts fire on the ground, like it's a napalm. Like this could have been a napalm character, right? There's so many more interesting things. Like it took me 2 seconds to come up with that off the top of my head. I didn't have that ready. Like, and instead they're just like, how about she has some pretty decent multipliers? Wow, you're really big brain, Hoyle. Oh, and how about we make her clunky so that players want to pull for her weapon, and we'll put Aqua Simulacra on the banner to make people think it's even better. Like, cool. Like, it's so boring at a baseline idea for the things they could have done. And I feel like the fact that they've made an off-field, you know, unit that incentivizes burning, they might just never make one again. Like, this is the one off-field burning incentivization unit we might ever get. At least for a long time. That's my current feeling. And that's why I'm kind of disappointed. On top of all her clunkiness issues. So, anywho's. They worked, they got me, still pulling as weapon as we speak. I know, yeah. Like, and if her weapon didn't have shenanigans to be used on other characters, I probably wouldn't have gone for it. I probably just would have see if I got C1 on my main account, right? Like, the risk of the weapon banner, especially considering in hindsight what I got, which is like not the worst case scenario, but not very far away from the worst case scenario on my main account, was not really worth it. But you know, the fact that the weapon has other shenanigans is what actually motivated me, because I like doing shenanigans, but that's not really a good thing, in my opinion. So, I don't know, right? Like, that's my current take on this character, as far as, like I had positive first impressions, and I still like this character, because I still like doing burning teams and things with the burning reaction, and I've been happy with the amount of team variety I've had that I can make her be a functional unit in. It just feels like they went unnecessarily clunky with her kit design, and feels like she could have had far more potential to be a much more interesting character, is ultimately all it is. So, will you activate her C1? Not right now. I'm probably going to stream tomorrow, trying to clear the abyss. Someone asked me to check something. Oh yeah, someone wanted to see this weapon on Shungling. Yeah, I think I will try to clear the abyss on this account tomorrow, without Arlecchino, is my goal. I don't know what teams I'm going to use exactly, but we'll figure it out. Probably a Chevreuse team on one side. The only problem is, I don't know, man. So, like, I would love to play this team. I think maybe I play this team, but with Candace for the second side, right? Because that could get through Like Sino plus Candace can get through the Electro shields, I think, and then I can do a Shivers team on the first side. Right, Shivers team on the first side with like Raiden will wipe through. Yeah, sign it. This was a typo, but then I was like, hey, I like the typo. Sign a mile. So then sign Emilie. And then Hutao Emilie. So this one doesn't have a name because I think I just set this because I needed to farm with Arlecchino. Again, one of the stupidest values of C6 characters, by the way, continues to be, and this is the same conclusion I had with like C6 Elon. Is like one of the main way you feel the value of your C6 the most is just that it's the most easy, like just amping your character's damage output so high when they're being highly invested just makes them a really good character for farming anything. It's so stupid that that's one of the most relevant reasons to actually do something dumb like this. It's not actually because you need it for Abyss or any content in the game. It's just like it makes farming slightly faster, which is such a stupid reason. So anyways, you wish Candace C6 was real? I was so happy about Candace C6 recently on an account fixing video that hopefully will be out tomorrow unless I get too distracted in the stream. Anywho's, does Emilie work with Shivers? I mean, in the vein that you normally play Pyro units with, like what you can do, right, with Emilie, there's interesting things you can do with Emilie Shivers. For example, even on polearms only, right? So you do Shivers,
Armed and ready.
Emilie,
The pleasure is all
and
mine.
then to be clear, this would be Shivers. Like, don't bother with Shivers before you have C6. You don't usually really bother with her in non-Shivers, like entirely Pyro Electro teams, because you don't get the red shred. The red shred is a really big part of what makes Shivers so nice. But she can still do attack buffing if you have Overload in the team. So, you know, Raiden.
What is the situation?
And, you know, Electro and Dendro do be synergizing pretty well together. And I've already shown, you know, you can keep up burning things while you're doing Electro things. And then if you have C6 Shivers, right, Electro plus Pyro, you can get the 40% attack bonus from this passive. You just need to trigger an overcharge ball, which means triggering Overload first. And then you can, you know, you don't get the passive, but if you have C6, you still get the C6 Pyro or Electro damage bonus for your on-fielder. And then also the team-wide heal is really nice. So she can be your healing unit. So, you know, this combo here could be compelling. And then, you know, off-field unit, I would still probably want some off-field Pyro. So in that case, that's probably either Xiangling or Toma, right? For more defensive utility. Does this actually make sense? I don't know. Necessarily. I mean, I guess Sino could be an option here as well, right? But it's basically not that different. Like, again, like doing the Sino team, but slotting Chevrus in instead of, oops, that's not the Sino team. Doing the Sino team but slotting Chevrus instead of Zhongli could be compelling. The only reason I don't think I'll really do that very often is because most of the time if I'm gonna do this team, like, I'm going to do a Chevrus team on the other side of Abyss, which means I'm not going to put Chevrus here as a buffer for Sino, right? Even though she could theoretically be the best option for the attack buff and the damage bonus, whatever. Anywho's. Chev will probably run alongside Raiden. Yeah, so probably, if anyone wants Chevrus, she will probably rerun with Raiden next patch. Based on the rumor that Raiden is rerunning. So, you can plan around that, and the question is Raiden going to rerun first half? Or is she going to rerun second half? And if Kachina's on the banner. For prelims only, it would be nice if Kachina was on the banner. Because, you know, like, not that Raiden Constellation... It would be nice if another 4-star lines up with a Raiden banner, right? Not that, like, Raiden C4 is the biggest deal in the world, but hey, 30% attack would be an upgrade. And then, not that this is going to happen, but, you know, getting that eventually would be funny. So... Anyways, I can't believe I have I cannot believe we got C2. Oh yeah, by the way, for anyone that wants proof from the previous stream, that I did not like pre-record because of that. So this was the C2, which was at 25 pity, I believe. Yep, about 25. And then there's Emilie there. There's the C1 Emilie, and then there's the 50-50 lost Chi-Chi. So this was during like near the start of the stream with the single polls. and this was at like 82 or 83, I don't know, annoyingly high into pity. And then I did the LOL. It doesn't actually matter if you lose 50/50s if you just get a 5-star in your next poll, and it's so stupid. It's so stupid. I can't believe that happened. That was probably one of the best Gamba moments I've had. Did definitely feel like some streamer luck moment. The game's trying to, like, you know, Mahayo's trying to be like, oh, you said you know, it was a bad decision to go for C6 Arlecchino because you wouldn't, you know, it prevents you from getting C2 Emilie. And then lol, I just get super lucky and get C2 Emilie anyways. Okay. Alright. Is C2 Raiden worth it? You have Raiden C1 Yai. I mean, if you really like Raiden's carry playstyle, I think the more fun thing to do is actually, as far as high investment things, wishing more to make Raiden a better carry, I think the more fun thing to do is getting Staff of Scarlet Sands for Raiden and putting her on a hybrid build, which this Raiden is actually not on right now. Let me switch to my main account quick, by the way, and we can test some things with her weapon. So, you know, that's my opinion. But C2 Raiden is also very strong for a reason. Because it's good. It will make Raiden do a lot more damage. So if you like Raiden's carry playstyle, that will also make her do a lot more damage. It just doesn't necessarily enable new teams in the same way that the hybrid things do. You have Staff of Scarlet Sands anyways? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well, then for what it's worth, I don't intend to ever get C2 Raiden. Well, okay. I don't know. Like, I have C1 Raiden on my main account, right? And like the obvious conclusion would be like, you know, being that, like, let's say the situation of they're gonna rerun Chevreuse. I don't have C6 Chevreuse yet. I would like C6 Chevreuse because it's pretty good. I'm 2 away. In the situation of them like running Raiden and Kaniche second half of 5.0 and Chevreuse is on Raiden's banner, and Kaniche seems fun, but I don't think I really will get that much value out of him meaningfully long term at all. I think it would actually, and I play Raiden all the time. All the time. Objectively, I do think Raiden Z2 would be smarter to get for me. I love playing Raiden, Hybrid Raiden. Hybrid Raiden with C2, it goes bonkers. Like Hybrid Raiden with C2, to be clear, like Raiden's damage contribution with Hybrid Raiden is all over the place. It depends on the team a lot. You can play so many different teams with Hybrid Raiden. But like from what I have killed, it basically doubles her damage. Not necessarily full doubles, but like it can literally take her from doing, oh, she does 200,000 in like some of her best hybrid teams, that buff her the most, but also are doing other things, like we're talking like Freena and Vedek combos, right? Now she's doing 400,000 damage on her initial burst hit. Like, she starts to get to like nonsensical damage numbers on a normal account when you start pairing, you know, the other strong buffers in the game with her. Not necessarily Kazuha, but Kazuha is one of the options. So yeah, this kind of build with C2 is really, really strong. I still don't think I'm going to get it because of the fact that I make content in the game. It's one of those things, like, I would actually, no-brainer, I would get it just for my own personal fun if I could turn it off. Like, this is absolutely one of those constellations. Mihoyo could make money from me, but because they don't let me turn it off, they're not going to make money from me. So, L on your part, Hoyo. Because you don't let me turn off things, I'm not going to get it. Because I don't want to deal with, like, me using... I like using Hyper Raiden a lot. And I don't want to deal with, you know... the only reason you were able to clear this abyss was because you had C2 Raiden, right? I don't want to deal with that. Instead, I can just be like, nope, this is not C2 Raiden. Because sometimes Hybrid Raiden gets damage numbers that makes her look like C2 Raiden in the teams that, like... Because normally if you're putting Raiden in like, unconventional teams and you see, like, 180,000, 150,000, 100,000 damage from her, people are like, well, you must have C2. Anyways, whatever. Emilie's weapon on, what, Xiangling is what people wanted to see for some reason. So... we ever get a tall male support unit? Of course not. Shungling. There we go. Okay. Why do you have that? I don't know why you have that. Oh, because I was... Yeah, I remember why. Never mind. Duh. Alright. Give you that. Of course we want to do a crit damage circlet. I do not have great options for crit damage circlets on Emblem. Actually, so... Oh well. Yoink Diaz. Blam. There you go. That's not great. Okay. That's really not very good. Okay, fine. We'll give her a better goblet. I normally don't reward Shungling and give her better pieces, but in this instance, it probably makes sense. Blam. There we go. Okay, that's a bit less cope, a little bit less ER. What team do we do? So notably, right, if you're triggering the main factor, right? If you're trying to trigger this passive on a pyro unit, the Emilie's weapon passive, you need to have underlying dendro for your pyro unit to be able to trigger burning, right? Man, every time they increase the team slots, I'm just like, I need more. Just let me have as many as I want, please. I guess I'll delete the... Do I delete the Candace team? By the way, actually, one thing to talk about, like, Emilie a little bit. I think for a normal account, my favorite team core for Emilie is Emilie Bennett. Blech. Sorry, Emilie Bennett Kazuo right now. And then you can tweak around the last slot kind of however you wish. Not necessarily however you wish. Like, certain units might interfere with the burning enough that you don't want to put in them. But this core of being able to use Kazuo for, you know, grouping enemies and making her burst stronger, and you know the own swirl damage contribution and the off-field pyro from Kazuo when you infuse its burst, makes, I think, this the most fun, good team core overall. And then you can just, you know, slot in whoever else. So I'm not gonna. This is the Siege Wing team, so this is literally the same as like the I team, right? But swapping Yai, or I could do Siege Wing instead, because Siege Wing does some like off-field damage, and then you could build her for damage, right? Like that's the idea. So yeah, you could do Venti, you could do an on-field pyro damage dealer, you could do Dia, you could do Arlecchino, right? Like this team core of Kazuo, Emilie, Bennett, I think is the most compelling Emilie team core for giving you different, fun, strong team options, and that's cool. So, anyways, yeah, it's interesting that even when Kazuo is not able to swirl, you know, like Kazuo in this team is not swirling Hydro like probably ever. With Yai, there might be a way to make him swirl Electro consistently if I play a little bit differently, but still a little bit hard. But even then, it still is like a compelling team, right? Even without swirling the right element for a VV debuff and damage bonus, whatever. I wish they changed Bennett burst before they let you turn off constellations, like make it so you hold the burst to activate C6 Bennett burst. I mean, yeah, but it also would just be preferable that they just let you turn off constellations. It's so stupid that they don't. It's so stupid that they don't. Anyways, yeah, I think we're gonna delete the Candace team. I like this Candace team a lot. This is my favorite Virgin variation I've actually found with her, but I need a team slot. So, Shungling.
I'll bring my seasonings.
Do we want to use Emilie? So part of the problem is, like, if you're doing burning things with Shungling, you know, Emilie might be a compelling teammate with Shungling, and then if you're doing Emilie with Shungling, you may as well use Emilie on her weapon. So I guess let's go down the line of needing underlying Dendro and put Nahida in the team. And if we're doing Nahida, this is gonna, okay, C2 is gonna go potentially a bit hard here, but, you know, screw it. Let's do Sethos, Official. Let's see if this works.
In the name of the
Will this work?
princess.
Actually, wait. Shungling without Bennett with 180 ER is probably a no. Because, yeah. Okay, never mind. Maybe not Sethos then. Raiden.
What is the situation?
Blam. Why? Because, I don't know, sue me. I like hybrid Raiden. and because Electro go Burr. But yeah, so the main thing to watch for here is like, will we... There's little flowers that will appear around Xiangling, I believe. Will we be able to trigger the passive? And then I will slot in Emilie into this team to see if a lower amount of Dendro is still enough, right? That's the main question here. Because Emilie has a lot lower... Like, I think this will work fine with Nahida, because Nahida's Dendro application will be... Okay, you know what? Go over to... no, I will go to... no, yeah, I hate... Why are the local legends so annoying? We're just going to go on this boss. I was going to go to Rocky, but he jumps around too much and avoids taking damage. So, can you try Emilie, Jean, Kazuha, Flex? Why Jean? I mean, I did Emilie, Jean, like Farina, I think. I think I did like Emilie, Jean, Farina, Bennett. It was one of the... It was an interesting... the interesting thing, right, if you're doing Jean and Bennett, you can get good pyro application off-field around your character from the self-swirls. So, it's a potential good combo. But the main reason to do Jean is particularly like Farina synergy nowadays, right? So, anywho's. This...
Make yourselves at home.
There is no escape.
Koba, get them.
Let's light it up. Go in.
So, are we... Okay, am I dumb or we haven't even triggered it once? Interesting. I thought it would trigger as long as there's Dendro. Okay. We triggered it once there. Okay. So that, yeah, that means... It's actually a little bit worse than I even thought. I didn't know the local legends should be alive again. I just didn't feel like going to them. To be clear, or did we? Maybe we did trigger it right away. Did we trigger it right away? Because I feel like we would have had less energy than that.
Now I got stomach
If
cramps, man. It's the fire.
I didn't trigger it. Maybe I just didn't. Maybe I just didn't watch it properly. Let's go. Same problem with solo Farina for Vape UI. Can't use Yunjin there either because C6 attack speed makes Emilie apply too much pyro. Alright, so I think maybe I have to do this slightly differently. Not use Bennett first is basically... Or... Well, wait. Okay, what if I do... this?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. The Temple of Wisdom.
Okay.
Nice and spicy.
Triggered it once. Triggered it twice. Okay. So... Yeah, I don't think I triggered it the first time.
Commit to memory.
Right. But, I mean... Like, I wasn't trying to be clear as far as the strength of energy refund goes. This is a 172 ER build. And I didn't even Bennett E again, right? I only Bennett E once, and I don't even know if I had used my burst before that point. So, stream big up? What does that mean? What? Oh, does that just mean like I'm streaming? Okay, never mind. I thought that was like you were trying to tell me my stream was not working or something. But anyways, snapshotting works against Xiangling. There, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. It's because like I don't want to apply pyro first. So like, and even with Nahida there, this kind of feels awkward, right? Let's try to do it like a more normal way again. We'll set up first. We'll do Guoba. Make sure Guoba hits. There we go. Okay. Did I? Oh, I thought Guoba triggered burning there. Did Guoba not trigger burning? Yeah. See, I haven't triggered it at all. Oh, he died. Oops. Oh, that doesn't matter anymore because the cooldowns. Cooldown is gone. Yeah. Right. So. Yeah. Interesting. The snapshotting working against her. Right. So I'm kind of surprised. I thought that would actually work as better than I thought it did, because Sylveon told me when Sylveon was trying this weapon on Shenhe, like doing C6 Bennett infusing Shenhe, and then Shenhe's pyro normal attacks trigger it. It worked better. Like the footage I saw, she was able to trigger it pretty easily. So I think there's an interesting case of the pyro is doing... I think what's happening is the pyro application is doing too good of a job at keeping up the pyro, or the burning aura. And therefore, there's not much of an opportunity for underlying dendro to allow your pyro to trigger it, right? That's my feeling right now, is my guess for what's happening. But if we try Emilie, because like Emilie actually might be a case where the less dendro here may actually make this more consistent, which is weird.
The pleasure is...
Oops, I just lost my audio. Give me a second. I accidentally nudged my thing and gotta replug it in. I need to also drink some water. Blech. Use normal attacks to trigger burning. Xiangling's normal attacks. Why do you think more pyro would be good, Chug? We don't. The problem isn't more pyro. The problem I think it might be too much pyro. Right?
Is there time for a quick snack?
Oh, Sylvian also mentioned, yeah, Whistleblowers is removing some pyro as well as her cryo removing. Yeah. So I think this just might not work in like a pure burning context. You might have to, like, it might actually work if I burst on Raiden. So we'll go and like fight a tankier enemy maybe. But yeah, so what am I doing? This.
There is no escape. Everybody stand
And then burst on Raiden. I'm just pretending I burst on Raiden. I just wanted to see it before bursting on Raiden. I want to see if we triggered it, and we haven't. We haven't triggered the pass at all. Interesting, right? I think, yeah, I think you need to remove more of the aura. So let's go fight. My throat is dying. Well, if anything ends my stream, it might be this. I think you need to remove more of the aura. So it's possible, like Raiden actually, like I put Raiden here just as like a option because, like, hey, let's see some higher damage going from egg rates and spreads and whatever. But it's kind of worse than I realized. Let's see. Can quicken and burning coexist? Yes. That's like a big part of why. It's a big part of why the Sino and why Electro with Emilie teams works as well as it does, right? No, I don't have Yoimiya. Yeah, so this is interesting, and like I think you can make this weapon work, right? But weirdly enough, I think it works on pyro units. I think it works in the contexts that are more shenanigan-y, which is not that surprising because that's what I wanted it for.
Do this thing.
Let's see if it works if we actually
Adventure
rotate on our characters or do a full rotation. Oh my god, stop it. Let's do this. I should also Xiangling occasionally. Can I not? I almost did. She didn't trigger it. No, she did. She did. I lied. Wait, did she only trigger it once? Frick. Couldn't tell. I don't think she got the energy refunding. I think she might have only triggered it once. Emilie damage suffers? What do you mean Emilie damage suffers? Emilie with Nilou works the same as all Dendro off-field units. Yeah. Yeah, Emilie with Nilou can work perfectly fine, but she doesn't have great Dendro application, so she's not going to be Nahida, that's for sure. How much ER does she need with Signature? Depends on the team. Sorry. If you wanna, like, I can tell you on this account when I've had Emilie, by the way, yeah, Emilie has the wrong weapon, obviously. On this account with not the catch, she has like she has one ER roll and her signature weapon. In some of the teams I was testing, it felt like she wasn't getting her burst back when I needed it, but also it's kind of weirdly hard to notice that properly in some teams, whether or not she needs more ER, because her burst cooldown is only 13.5 seconds, but you might only need to actually burst every 20 seconds in mini teams, which means I might have like noticed her burst not being back, but I didn't actually need her burst back at that moment or something, kind of thing. For the most part, though, not much energy in most teams with her signature weapon. But it doesn't hurt to have a little, is my current feeling, is all it is. Because, again, being that like her burst is so important to making her not feel as clunky, yeah, go, like do more ER, then, you know, at the very least, like when you're going from the end of one chamber to the next chamber, you can get your burst back quicker, kind of thing. Is my thinking at bare minimum. But anyways, you don't need a lot of ER with her signature, that's for sure. Okay. So if we want to make this work on Xiangling, let's try throwing some Hydro into the mix, because obviously Hydro should be pretty good at eating
I've been waiting for you for ages.
burning, right? That's the idea. So we'll do the we'll do this. Also, actually, you know what? I guess let's just do the stupid
You want me on your team?
burn bait, whatever. We'll do Emilie instead. So yeah, the Emilie damage here is not necessarily what we're watching for. We're watching for if Xiangling is proccing her passive, is proccing the weapon passive in its team, right? Is just bringing in like the Hydro from Farina going to be enough to allow underlying Dendro to an extent that we can easily, consistently trigger the passive on this. If Fossilor is removing some of the Pyro, it's also letting Fridge happen with Shenhe's Pyro for more Bloom Course, which is also interesting. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good point as well. I really hope... yeah, I wish Shenhe had reran already. I quite badly want to mess around with Shenhe and do some of the shenanigans I've talked about, the stuff that Sylveon is talking about in chat. Like I believe I was the one that gave Sylveon the idea and mentioned like to try hybrid Shenhe things with Staff of Scarlet Sands and then now this weapon. And it seems to work really well, and I really want to try it, but however, doesn't want to rerun the character. Alright, so let's just do this thing. Do this first. Why? I don't know. Because I can. I should have just left. Oh, okay. Well, we can't see if we get the passive when she's dead, unfortunately. So, oops. I should have just left Xiangling on field so we could watch the passive. I'm dumb. I'm sorry. And again, I don't really want to rotate in an awkward way to force the passive, because rotating in a weird way to force the passive like loses your Bennett off time potentially. With the and this is also an example of like I think this is why I think it's dumb for characters to have snapshotting as an unintuitive mechanic. It's interesting in some cases, but most of the time I think it's not ideal. Because it can just make things weird to think about, and it's not intuitive at a baseline at all. I should actually not have casted Emilie there, because now I have no... one dude left. Alright. I think YouTube chat completely broke, by the way. Cryo will be good in 6.x? Maybe. Maybe. Mahoyo figures out that... If Mahoyo figures out that they shouldn't be designing cryo units as if they're pirate units, then maybe. I swear that's how they design cryo units. That's what it feels like to me. Like they treat it like the equivalent multipliers on cryo units as the same value on as they would be on pyro units, but then cryo units don't have anywhere near the options for good teams and like enabling units that pyro has, right? Like pyro has Hydro available for it to vaporize, and meanwhile cryo units have what amount of off-field pyro units for them? Not a ton of an amount, right? They don't have a lot of options for mixing of off-field damage and buffing. Units like Emilie can help with that slightly, but not amazingly so. I don't know. It feels like to me that Mahoyo pretends that cryo units are equivalent to pyro units because they both have access to some kind of like they both have. Cryo has melt, Hydro has vaporize, except for no, it's not the same. It's not the same. So I don't. And then there's physical. Let's not even talk about physical. Physical is so underutilized. They could do more physical cryo units, and that could be cool. But they just don't. Again, they just like. I swear to God, they're like, we think this is actually the same as the pyro unit, but then it doesn't actually do the things pyro units do. So I don't know. Anywho's,
Let's do this thing.
so it's slightly differently, because I think
A little ambiance.
that's fine. I guess I think something like that.
I'm
Can you
too hot to handle.
stop getting one shot, lady? Like, why? Why is your defense so low? Like, yeah, she has a really low base defense, right? Like, oh my God. Like, look at this is Emilie with I think like no defense rolls or very few. Okay, I got, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna go into Abyss to test this because it's actually somehow less annoying. Liam is the best Shivers team main DPS. True. Okay. 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 Emilie, Bennett, Farina, but there she is. Okay, not fully clearing the Abyss. I just want to see the passive triggering. My throat is dying. Okay. Do that. That.
This will brighten up the place.
Should have done that after Bennett burst, but whatever. Did we? Yeah, we did trigger it here. Okay.
Let's light it up. A little ambiance. Go in. Time to shine.
I did that on purpose, so I'd get like more Farina buff going.
Bubba, get them.
Let me do that.
Teamwork is dreamwork. Let the world fly. Nice and spicy.
Okay. It seems like we're pretty consistently getting it up now. At least in this AoE situation here. It might be worse in single target because, you know, the part of the situation here might be like we're able to more consistently trigger burning on some things because like random enemy has Dendro on it but doesn't have, you know, the burning actively going quite yet on it, which means Xiangling might have more opportunities to be the trigger for it in an AoE scenario, so it might actually still be worse than single target, but I'm pretty sure we consistently triggered it there. Alright. Let's try if we do like a pure burning though, and don't do Farina. So you know, something like this, I guess. Alright. Like we just have constant pyro. What happens? Let's see. Okay, yeah. So I think this kind of confirms my general idea. Don't want too much pyro. You need to get rid of the pyro aura in some form for you to be able to trigger the passive with pyro damage dealers. Which means, yeah, doing shenanigans with using it on pyro damage dealers, whether with Cecil's Bennett or on pyro damage dealers like Xiangling, is contingent upon using other units that remove it. So, yep, that's fine. I think like it's kind of expected, but also is exactly the reason why like I don't think it actually makes sense to pull for this weapon for these shenanigans. Because they're too niche, right? Like, I think I've seen a number of content creators are like, yeah, or people in general that are like, yeah, you can just use it with Xiangling if you're using Xiangling in a burning team, but I think what we showed there is like, no, you actually can't use it on Xiangling. Like, you're not going to use it too as like meaning like all it's doing there in the pure burning context where we didn't have, you know, Hydra removing some of the aura, was it's just giving attack percent and crit. Like, it's just a bad stat stick option for her. So, you know, I wouldn't use it on her personally. Do you use Kaching? I haven't used her much. I did a stream with her a little bit ago. I'm waiting right now. I know this is like minor, but right now I'm just like 5.0's in 2 weeks, and I will farm the last drops I need for my Ascension in 2 weeks. I'm going to take the next couple weeks, I think, to basically just farm a whole ton of heroes wits mostly. Speaking of, I think I actually have 3 condensed resin. No, I don't. No, I thought I did. No, okay, never mind. Oh yeah, duh, because I spent it. Once I finish leveling up these couple artifacts, I intend to, yeah, I think, yeah, okay. Once I finish leveling up these couple artifacts, I intend to go and farm for, just heroes wits until 5.0 because I need them. So, anyways, yeah, so Xiangling on this weapon, don't recommend, honestly, because I think most players in the game will just be like most players I think have the conception that, oh, you can use this on Xiangling as long as you have Dendro on the team, but like, no, it's more complicated than that, right? Because of how the actual burning reaction keeps pyro on the enemies. Pyro is not the one that's re-triggering this effect. It's Dendro that's usually re-triggering when you have a bunch of pyro going on. So, but if you get rid of the pyro, then you can potentially trigger the passive consistently. But that means you're restricted to even more, not just burning comps, but burning with something else going on. Yeah, right. So, anyways, I still like this for shenanigans. Like, I think I'm going to have, like, I do still think this weapon is probably going to be the best weapon for doing hybrid Shenhe. I really like that, as long as you're fine with restricting Shenhe to, you know, burn melt shenanigans. But I think I was going to prefer that anyways, so you get the point. It's pretty good. If you want to do shenanigans, but also there are oftentimes shenanigans that mean you would include Emilie in the team anyways, and you might be served better by using the weapon on Emilie. So, like, getting this weapon for shenanigans doesn't actually make sense, is my point, and that's why I put that text in the video, being like, don't pull this weapon for shenanigans, even though I kind of want it for shenanigans. That's it. Yep. Give you back your goblet. And your... I don't remember what you used, actually. Frick. I don't think you used that, right? Right? I don't know. No, use this. Yeah. Because you don't deserve crit damage. You don't deserve crit damage substats. No. You're good enough on that. There you go. There you go, Xiangling. Okay. This weapon should be good for Shenhe and freeze. No, not freeze. No. No. Don't use that on Shenhe and freeze. Use Pav. Hybrid Shenhe, melt Shenhe, like melt damage Shenhe on her melts, on her normal attacks like pyro melts and cryo melts. So, anywho's, Sauce is the better shenanigans weapon. Oh yeah, for sure. Staff of Scarlet Sands has far more potential different things you can do with it. Trying to get to enough. That actually might give me enough. Let me go check. That might give me enough for Emilie's burst to level 9. Just get it for Shenhe drip, true. Yeah, they did similar-ish damage you're testing your Shenhe. Keep in mind though, Sylvan, you do have C1 Shenhe, right? And I think there's a lot of situations where like C1 hybrid Shenhe on Staff of Scarlet Sands is not going to be anywhere near as good with C0 Shenhe, in like especially single target scenarios, right? In AoE scenarios, it might be fine, like when you're against 3 enemies where you can just do a hold skill and trigger the passive fully anyways. But anyways. Guide to order. Oh, Singcho, please. I need 2 more. Singcho, please. If ever you were going to refund me, please do it now so I don't have to spend any more resonance domain. Please. Okay. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Should you crown your Emilie? If you want to, but I do not think her abilities are necessarily one of the abilities in the game that's worth crowning, is my current feeling. But, you know. Yep. Yeah, I know he never produces the extra book when you need it. Alright. Deploy. Delete. So put Yai back here for now. We'll test Siege more there, but anywho's. Do you do your transmute thing for the week? That's a good question. I have no idea. So I should use that. I did. Apparently I did exactly a week ago almost. So, you know, tomorrow. Someone remind me, I guess. Unless I have... Nope, don't have 20 resin. Oh well. Let's see. I wonder how Lumideus works on DPS Toma. Same exact situation. Like, it's gonna be... You don't want too much pyro going on. But being that there's teams you use on Toma that don't have much pyro going on normally, it might actually be more usable. Because Xiangling has a problem of she applies a lot of the pyro, which means that you might have more more burning uptime with Xiangling, and therefore less ability to trigger the passive on Xiangling, which is interesting. But DPS Toma is also not great because, you know, there's better ways to build Toma for damage that aren't reliant on his talent multipliers. My video feels crashed. Well, OBS isn't giving me any errors, so I'm not sure what to tell you. It's probably you, maybe. Have you done Siege Ween Farina with Emilie? Yes. I mean, I did a whole bunch. One of the teams I tested the most was this team. This team is interesting. Again, it's like one of the situations where I don't think it's necessarily that much better than Nahida. And it can be kind of clunky with needing to do certain things. But I do like the dynamic it has. It's quite fun. And you can potentially do other units that are not Dia here. It's just I like doing Dia, right? So, you know, one team I really do want to mess around with more, though, is that I haven't messed around with that much, is Sethos variations.
Right
which... Like, it's interesting to me that this works as well as it does. We'll just throw Dia here.
Down to business.
We need some amount of off-field pyro. Right? Well, actually, wait. Yeah, no, I think we need. Yeah, I think I want to try Sethos variations more. But this, oh, I didn't deploy it. It's surprising how well it works. Is my current feeling when I tested it before. But I don't know. We can test it again right now. I think everyone's build is correct, right? Yep. Okay, we're good. And go Dia signature artifact on Siege Ween in that team. Yes, you could actually. That's a good point. I don't know if I have the artifacts for it. But yeah, I want to actually get more Voracoshes. Voracoshes is one of my one of my priority artifacts to strongbox for, in the 5.0 strongbox, because I would like to get Dia. I mean, Dia's never gonna have a permanent build because she has times where she just like makes sense on instructors or whatever. But I would like to replace her emblem build with a build a Voracoshes build that can use her in solo pyro, right? My Voracoshes artifacts are not horrible, but they're not enough. They don't. I don't have enough ER. Like I don't have an ER timepiece, for example. It's probably the most notable thing in Voracoshes, but. Yeah, I might actually be able to use Voracoshes because I have an HP timepiece. I have, I mean, that's not great. I have this. I have this. I could actually maybe do it. I ideally want a better feather than that, but it'd be an interesting option on Siege Ween for sure. The skill damage isn't really that relevant though. It's just like the burst damage and then 2 piece HP is good. But yeah, it's odd. I wouldn't recommend it, I don't think. Voracoshes doesn't work with HP drain. It works with HP taking damage. I think that was the concept there, not the HP drain. Siege Ween doesn't have any Zell built HP drain anyways. So, anyways. Change Emilie's wings? No, frick off. Sorry, I don't care. I disagree with you. Like to be clear, I think the green wings look fine. I just don't like the bright green that much. I don't think it looks that good on her. And I think the brown orange Like this looks better in my opinion, quite frankly. You can disagree, I don't care, but you get to deal with me using it because it's my preference. Oh well, you'll live. And so, yeah, survive, thrive. But yeah, I don't know. It matches her hair. It matches, I think, the accent of her like hat tassel thing better because it has more dark tones. And I don't know. Yeah, the purple contrast of green is an option too. I actually don't think it's horrible. I don't know. There's something about this. I like it. I like it the most. So deal with it. Yeah, I think the last thing to end the stream before I go and edit my account fixing video. We've already streamed for an hour 40 minutes. I promise. I don't have much else to talk about, but we'll do more like actual combat-y things like on poems only with Sino and whatever tomorrow. You have the PS5 wings. Please test with Sino. I literally just spent time playing Sino on the stream earlier. But if you want to see more Sino Nicola, I will be doing more Sino Emilie tomorrow. Anyways, excited for Red Wings and Natlan. I think they look like shit. Not gonna lie. I'm sorry. They look terrible. They look worse on Dia than I think existing options look. And Dia is one of the characters that I think they look the most okay on, and I think they look meh on Dia. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Moga just uploaded a video saying sorry for his Emilie showcase. See, like, I blame Hoyoverse for this. I blame Hoyoverse for this, because you know what part of these people's problems with Emilie is because she's clunky. That's my whole point in this stream. We're like, they made her overly clunky. So I don't really blame people for making mistakes with her that much. They made her overly clunky. KFC wings look good. I mean, yeah, maybe. If I could have them. I don't know. I don't know. There's, like, maybe I'm just biased because, like, I like the... I don't know. Like, these look really good on Dia, right? And the new wings don't look very good, in my opinion. And a big part of this one is, again, like, matching, like, the accents on her hair a lot. So anyways, like, to be clear, Moga is in a position he probably should have tried to learn about, especially because I think Mona has access. Mona. I think Moga, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Moga not one of the people that have access to the pre-release server? Like, the one that was, like, was a week before? Like, you get access a week before? But yeah, like, don't bully people. But I also blame Hoyo for the problem, because Hoyoverse made the character too clunky. I mean, I really... So, okay, so I want to acknowledge Sethos is not... Like the main way I've been able to use Sethos in this Abyss is on an Electrocharge team in the second half. Doing, like, normal aggravate Sethos things, or weird burning things like we're doing here, is potentially viable, but probably more viable in other Abyss cycles. This Abyss sucks. That's all I can say. It's not great for Zethos in a lot of ways. So we're just gonna test out things functioning here. We're not gonna go through a full Abyss run, because I don't feel like it. Not in the mood. Moga always. I mean, yeah, to be clear, I don't. Yeah, Moga, to be completely honest, never gave me that much of an impression that he actually knew a ton about the game. So early access has issues this time. Yeah, okay. So you might not have had meaningful early access anyways then. But yeah, I don't know. When I like watched a meaningful amount of guides when I first started playing Genshin, I can't say that I found Mogas to be my preferred ones. I still think Sevi is my recommended go-to for the average player. I do wish there was like I don't know if anyone plays HSR, there's a good chance you've heard of Guoba Certified. That dude, I think, makes a really, 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 really good balance of objective ways, like objectively making guides and breaking down all the weird bullshittery in the Star Rail. But also just like is good at simplifying things down to like the average player. Like it's actually he really exceedingly well does the perfect balance, I think, of going in depth enough for technicality in ways that are important, but also does, you know, approachable things. Like he just has approachable good information for people that are just looking for simple guidance, right? Nobody exists for that in Genshin, I'd say. You can like get like one side or the other, but I don't know. It's also a problem, like Genshin's a very different game design wise, so like as far as like making recommendations for, like the fact that I recognize that void in the Genshin guide creation space means like I maybe could have done that, but I don't know how to do that because Genshin is like too contextual versus like HSR is just like do the math for figuring out the breakpoints, the video game. To an extent, like HSR is so much more spreadsheetable in my opinion. So anywho's like I think it's more a problem with how the games are designed, why we don't have someone like Guoba in the Genshin space, which is fine. It's a different game. Yeah, you can't, it's too situational, you can't look at it objectively in my opinion. So I think that's the reason that exists. But anywho's Guoba's guys are fantastic. That's all I can say.
Excuse me. Behind you.
Midnight fantastic.
Almost.
Reconstitute.
Did I burst on her? I don't even remember.
Buckle up. A little ambiance. I summon thee.
Oh, I didn't have the passive. Okay, I bungled that a little bit. Let's try to play that better. Would you say Emilie's better than Nahida overall? No. No. She's more clunky. Even in the teams that like you can try to make the most use out of her, she's more clunky. And no, she's definitely not better than Nahida. Nahida's the more valuable unit if you're trying to pick between the two. Emilie is fun if you like playing different new weird team ideas for sure though. And she can be situationally better than Nahida, but in many cases she might also just be a side grade. Like, how much better is Emilie than Nahida in this team? I think she might just be worse. Well, and I can't probably test this, by the way. I'd have to like do the math on this to try to compare it. But Nahida has like very good damage output and spread, and has a buff that can actually buff his damage, right? And then I have C2 Nahida, which will buff him, like, right? Like, and because of C2 Nahida, I can't properly compare these two units on my account, unfortunately. But, you know, I don't know, take it for what you will, right? But, let's try just charge attacking instead of doing his, whatever's. Didn't quite get my energy back, which is not ideal. Alright, do that. Okay, I could have sworn this was working better in tanks. Hmm. Yeah, this is not that surprising that it's not working as well here. I wonder why it worked as well as it did in Overworld when I was testing it briefly. It's just because it didn't go on for long enough, it's a sustained period to notice anything. Maybe it's because the burst actually is just too much application. That could be why too. Also, he's almost dead. Don't worry about it.
Good.
There we go. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible, but, you know, it wasn't great. There was definitely issues with the aggravate uptime there, I think, in some instances. And, Sethos burst doing 5k, charge attack doing 20 to 30k. I mean, there's a difference in like, all the burst hits don't always apply electros. They're not going to trigger any reaction. But you can potentially get more application out of his burst. So like it's theoretically ideal for me to do burst, and like I'm on fielding him perfectly. It's theoretically ideal to do burst, get like 7 combos of NA2, I believe, and then do 3 charge attacks after. But anyways, I don't know. This is weird.
Excuse me.
There we go.
Wings of darkness.
Not having her burst back is a little awkward. So yeah, here's a team. Oh, frick, well, okay, of course. Here's a team where I would say I would ideally. You got? Really? Okay. I would ideally prefer. Okay, I don't have Dia. Okay, well. Also, we're seeing a little bit of Dia uptime issues. Sack Greatsword could actually solve that problem in this instance rather than having Dia on a carry build. See a caster skill when I didn't mean to. God dang it, man. It's quite bad.
Excuse me.
Okay, like, let's compare this to, yeah, I know Dia should be on a different, first of all, Emilie's on Deepwood. Dia does not need to be on Deepwood, but Dia should be on a different artifact set, yes. I'm aware. That's fine. I'm mostly testing how things are working. I can tell you, I think the Nahida variation of this team worked better, right? So this is one of those examples where, you know, but it's still, I can't like properly compare this because of the Constellation of Nahida. I really wish I could turn it off. But as a comparison, die please. Really? Okay. I refuse. I refuse to accept that reality. I'm bad. Don't worry about it. I'm very bad. Don't worry about it. There we go.
Midnight. Sage's wisdom. This is space.
Nope. Okay, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll just do this. Okay, well. Annoying. All kinds of ways. Alright, there we go. He's out of stamina. Sethos gonna be weirdly awkward to play. Like, one thing is, like, Sethos can be really awkward to play, because of, like, his no movement stupid thing. But, like, I don't know, it's, like, this is not that different, realistically, from the Emilie variation. It just has some upsides and some downsides. Really. So, I don't know. It's weird. I don't think I played that particularly well necessarily on either one of the teams. Are you comparing the aggravate uptime? Yeah, I was watching basically that, but yeah, in that team, right, Nahida's extra dendro basically results in essentially permanent aggravate uptime. Like it's not a problem, from what I can tell. Whereas it's a little bit more with Emilie, I think. But I also think it's less, I think, a problem of just total dendro application, but more actually just a problem of her dendro application being more single target, right? So And also I didn't have enough ER apparently, so because I think I had like 40 out of 50 energy or something. So this is a context wherein it's likely once I get a replacement piece, I think for my Baiju, I'll switch to this piece on Emilie, which I don't love that artifact because losing a bunch of attack is not ideal, but it also has less crit rate, which is also not my preference, but not much less. It's basically the same, And this, right, that might have been enough ER to fix my problem there, essentially. So likely I'll end up eventually switching to that. So I don't know. Like this character feels clunky. that's all it is. That's what I was wrong about. I didn't expect her to feel as clunky as she does, and that pushes you towards her burst playstyle. You don't have the burning set, no, and I don't think I will anytime soon, realistically. So, yep. Gotta go, it's almost 2 a.m. Well, I'll be leaving too. Not because it's 2 a.m., but because I got other things to do. I want to get you guys an account fixing video out tomorrow. So yeah, I don't know. I really like this character, but I was wrong about how I was wrong about how much I would feel the need to use her burst, right? Is the simple way to do it. So to say it. And that's because of how clunky I think her skill is with resetting down to level 1 when you recast her skill. It just, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. It feels like they created a problem and are now trying to sell a solution with some mix of C1 or weapon. And I don't like it. Could you use Burgeon? It's way better for Emilie, and you can use Farina further boosting Emilie. I am well aware that I can play Farina with Emilie. I was not trying to make the most. This was not a stream where I was trying to make the most of Emilie. I just had the thought of trying to play Sethos more because I didn't test Sethos more. Is it clunky because of range? No, it's clunky because her skill resets to level 2. Or from level 2. If you have level 2 already and you press her skill, it resets to level 1. Her burst does not do that. Her burst saves it, and her burst will extend the duration and save it. Right? I guess I don't know if I actually ever demonstrated that, but you can see it happening in many cases. Can I go here? You agree with the opinion that she's a Xiangling side grade? I don't use Xiangling enough to necessarily properly compare. I kind of hate Xiangling. I think Xiangling is more clunky than Emilie. So, like, I don't like recommending people play clunky units. That's why I tend not to use Xiangling, because I don't think she's very enjoyable. I do not like having to work around having to factor in the fact that she snapshots means I have to always when you put a Xiangling in a team, you have to frickin' rotate around Xiangling and like using specific abilities before Xiangling to make sure Xiangling gets the buffs. And she requires pretty high investment to get meaningful use out of it. It's just like, unless you're just using her for pyro application, but even if you're just using her for pyro application, she still takes a lot of ER and just I kind of hate Xiangling, not gonna lie. And I kind of hate Xiangling because Xiangling's existence is presumably the main reason we haven't gotten meaningful other options for off-field pyro damage dealers, right? I blame her for that. Like, yeah. So, anywho's, so, yes, no. Like, I think she's less clunky than Xiangling, but she's still hard to recommend because she still is clunky. And yeah, like that. I don't know. I said what I said. I don't really care about comparing her to Xiangling that much. she's restrictive in a different way from Xiangling, wherein like if you want to make the most out of her, you got to do something with burning. And that's what's interesting to think about with her. Xiangling is restrictive in a way where you got to think about her energy needs and think about how her burst snapshots and how you line up her burst with other characters in the team and whatever else going on, right? Like, they're different characters that function meaningfully enough differently and have their own restrictions that, I don't know, they're just different. But like I don't know, it's just like, oh, you're doing pyro. This unit is a Dendra unit that you put with pyro. And therefore, she's just a Xiangling, but green is, I don't know, the most boring take you could possibly have. So, I don't know. that's my feeling. Yeah. Can I test this here? Let's see. So all I want to show, right, is just, okay, let's pop those. Don't kill me. Okay, good. And then trigger this. As long as it gets up to level 2, we should be fine. It didn't get to level 2. Well, this is fine, actually, because you see how it has sense there? I believe it goes to 0 sense as soon as I recast. See? So, it wasn't at level 2 yet because it needs 4 sense collected to be able to go to level 2. But as soon as you recast, it goes to 0, right? That's what makes her clunky, in my opinion. And her burst doesn't do that. When you use her burst to extend her, like just to keep her uptime, her burst keeps whatever level it's at and then pops it back down at whatever level it's at in the new location that you used it to. And on top of the other value the burst gives, and like Emilie Melt, it's fine. Emilie Melt is fine. I enjoy it. I enjoy her as a compelling option for melt teams, but it has the same problem wherein like it's a 2-unit combo, like it's, you know, and oftentimes many melt teams will probably still want Xiangling's an off-field unit too. So it depends a little bit. Like I liked Ganyu mount with her, doing Ganyu Dia Emilie melt with Bennett, of course, was good. Yeah. But it's also, again, one of those contests where, in like, it would have been more compelling to do, you know, cryo on builders with Emilie if they gave Emilie some kind of buffing in her kit, right? Lower her personal damage a little bit, but give, I don't know, the attack percent buff to your on-fielder or your whole team. That would have been even cooler, right? But instead, just own her own damage contribution, right? I very much suspect, by the way, that this character is a heavy indication. With aspects to her clunkiness, with aspects to her kit design being, you know, full-on just talent, damage, attack percent scalar. I am more confident than ever. I've seen this indication in many ways across many characters they've been releasing. I am more confident than ever that they're going to release a character. It's probably going to be the Pyro Archon or maybe the other dude, XBA, whatever it is, Xbelonk. They're probably going to release a attack buffer, and it's probably going to be a team-wide attack buffer, not like Bennett. It's probably going to be less Bennett buff than them, but they'll probably do something else other than team-wide attack, right? Just like a off-field pyro damage dealer that doesn't have to do insane damage, but like, you know, I don't know, better off-field damage than Dia, but also doing some team-wide buffing, and, you know, whatever, and then, you know, you can use, I don't know, I think that will help Emilie's team variations quite a lot. Give less need to just shove Xiangling into some teams, because that's kind of what I felt. It's like, oh, this team feels like it's working, but I might need more pyro. And how do you get more pyro and more damage? Xiangling. Whereas if they do an off-field pyro unit that buffs, even if they don't do much damage on their own, as long as they do off-field pyro and they buff a little bit for the whole team, especially, like that'll increase Emilie's damage, increase your on-fielder damage. It'll be good. So, yeah. I'm feeling more than ever, Emilie makes me feel the issue of the lack of off-field pyro damage dealers we have in the game, and the lack of like team-wide attack buffs, because Bennett exists and they just decided to only make Bennett be the only attack buff in the game for 4 years. Yeah. You accidentally pulled Emilie's weapon. If I can't end up getting her in the banner, who could I potentially use it on? Oof. I mean, it's an okay stat stick. Otherwise, it's going to have niche utility with C6 Bennett, or when you're doing burning. There's all kinds of burning shenanigans I've done, right? And so I don't know. You can watch my channel and see kind of the stuff I've done with burning in the past. So anywhere where you're using burning to do something else, like you're using burning to trigger vape on your Hydra units, her weapon could be a potential compelling option if you can trigger some pyro damage on them, but it's relatively niche. it's definitely not very great. This weapon banner, in my opinion, is not a good weapon banner if you're pulling for Aqua, right? This is a good weapon banner if you're pulling for Lumidu's Elegy, most likely for Emilie, and then you can happen to get some Aquas, which is a pretty decent weapon alongside it, but this weapon is definitely more niche than Aqua, right? So, yeah. Anywho's, Issue with Diaz, however, she's not a functional character before C2, if you ask me. I mean, I disagree. I've used her in plenty of ways without C2. Would I like C2? Yes. Because, like, there are some teams like this one where I kind of felt like to adapt to new waves, or whatever, I would like to have Stack Greatsword, because that'll extend the uptime of her Pyro application. It doesn't... Stack Greatsword, by the way, does not help with, like, her interruption resistance or anything. Neither does C2. But Stack Greatsword does give her more uptime on her skill. So, like, you don't need C2, in my opinion. But anyways, is there a visual difference between tiers of the skill? Yes, it's the little scents around her thing. Like, she has the little, like, petals that go around her thing. When she has 4, that is when she is doing the level 2 skill. If the Dendro battery comes out, Emilie will be much better. No. No, Emilie needs more pyro options, not more not more Dendro options. To be clear, she'll be a good teammate for Kinich, but Emilie is a good teammate for Kinich. Emilie doesn't need Kinich. Right. So yeah, as far as Dendro batteries go, there's already a good Dendro battery in the game. Where the heck is she? Am I blind? There she is. Look, it's the god of all Dendro batteries. This lady generates a lot of Dendro particles. That's not her problem. This is not Emilie's problem. So, anywho's. Yep, that's my feeling. That's my current take on Emilie. I think this is probably the last. I don't think I'm gonna make. Because of this clunkiness, I'm not gonna make that many more videos dedicated about Emilie. I will do a Emilie video next week, probably with just talking about different things on poems only, and I'll do my stream I think tomorrow using Emilie, trying to clear Abyss without Arlecchino, with just with Emilie's release here, to see how much she makes a difference there, because I do think on poems only she will enable me to clear without Arlecchino. But yep, I like her a lot. She's interesting, but she's mostly interesting because of how fun the burning reaction is, I think, to me. And that was already the case beforehand. And I wish she was designed a bit differently. Wish she was less clunky. She's hard to recommend. She might be a much more valuable unit in the future. That's my overall take. And I doubt I'm going to make another edited video specifically around doing different things with her. Even though she is an interesting character, I don't like how they designed her, and I don't really feel like digging into the nuances into the weeds that much in my edited videos versus just she'll probably show up in my videos a lot, to be clear. I plan to make a Mualani video potentially next week as well, that there's a good chance I will try to use her in the team, just because she's a good option. But I probably won't only use her. I'll just mention her as an option. Yada yada. Anywho's. Hyperbloom, Quick Bloom. I won't be doing Quick Bloom Sino. Quick Bloom Sino does not exist on Poems only. I'm sorry, and I don't have Sino on my main account. So, but yeah, we will be doing Sino Toma Emilie tomorrow, and it will work pretty well, I think. Well, I'm gonna try to. I might end up having to do something different with Emilie and Sino, depending on how the second side goes. It's really that's the real challenge. I might have to do different teams for the first chamber versus the second and third chamber. But anyways, thanks for watching, whatever. Words are hard. Emily's great, but she's kind of niche and makes and clunky in some ways. Depends on the team. Makes her hard to recommend. But I like her. Hopefully, if you got her, you're enjoying her too. But she's also probably pretty easy to skip. And that's my general take on her. Bye-bye.